everybody, it's Sadie from Hip in Detroit, and I am hanging out downstairs in the green room of PJ's Lager House, one of our favorite venues that we've gone to, I don't know, since I was 18 or 21. Probably like 17 if I'm being honest. So I reached out to PJ because I don't actually know the history of this place, and I figured that you guys would be as interested as I was, as just kind of talking about how it came about, all that kind of stuff. So let's start off with, when did you buy this place?
I bought it in 2007.
Okay.
And I'm like the fourth owner. The first family owned it. I think their name was Doemer, D-O-E-M-E-R, and they bought it in, I believe, right at 1915 when it was built. It was built in 14, opened in 15. Prohibition came into Michigan in 15, and this place was a furniture store, quote unquote, from 15 to 35 when Prohibition went out, and then it became the Doemer Beer Garden, then Doemer Brothers Tavern, eventually Doemer Tavern. They owned it till 1949, and a guy named Andy Kearney bought it in 1949, and he held it from 49 till 1995 when he sold it to 1997 when he sold it to Thomas Weekly, and Thomas Weekly owned it from his family, I should say, owned it from 97 to when I bought it in 2007. So I'm just the fourth owner of the place. It's been continually in operation in one form or another. I know when Andy Kearney was involved, there was a whole lot of Irish Catholic Teamster politics. I have been told the city of Detroit and Wayne County ran from the end of the bar. I'm told the Teamsters negotiated contracts there. I'm told that various Teamster officials of all sorts had come through this place. I was told the Teamsters used to have their own private key. They could let themselves in at any time of day or night and just leave the money on the bar.
Nice.
That kind of thing. So that was before my time. And with Tiger Stadium down the street and Michigan Avenue being what it was, on the far side, on the other side of the bar, there's a bookie betting slot that's there built in. And then when I bought the place, they said, "Well, you're going to take that out?" I said, "No. This is got to keep this stuff.
That's pretty cool.
This is the cool stuff. You keep the cool stuff."
Definitely.
And the history of this place is really phenomenal, because this used to be the little building on Michigan Avenue, because the two buildings next door towered over. They're both like 3 stories or more next to it, and this was this little building. Because you look at old pictures, now we're the big building in the second block, because you got just the Brooklyn local and you got DIB on the other side. But those buildings over the course of time, I know that one next door got partially torn down when the Lodge Freeway went through, and then the building kind of got worse and worse, and so they just left one section, and that's what's left of the DIB right now.
Oh,
so.
Interesting.
But I lived in Detroit. I was born and raised in Detroit. Went to high school at UD High. Went off to Ann Arbor for 23 years, and then I moved back here. For 10 years, I did real estate. And this is one of the questions that you had. What got you into doing this? I have a record store in Ann Arbor for 15 years called PJ's Used Records. It's still there. Still got my name on it, but I sold to my partners when I moved to Detroit. Anyways, I worked as a real estate agent. I did really well as a Detroit agent, just selling houses. One day, I'm walking up the steps of his house in Indian Village with these 2 guys who, their agent wasn't with them. I said, "Well, you guys look like you're in rock bands. Who are you?" And the guy goes, "Well, I'm John. I'm from Blanche." Or Dan, I'm from Blanche. And I said, "Oh, yeah, Dan, I've seen your band. I saw Groove in the Peas years ago." And he goes, "Well, I'm Jack White. I'm from the White Stripes." And I'm thinking, fucking day, the guy who is like iconic rock star of Detroit right now. I'm only 8 years out of the music, selling records. I don't even recognize the guy. I said, "You have been away from music for way the fuck too long." And so that was the first thing that made me think, I got to get out of real estate, and I got to figure out a way to get back into music.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I was at a Randy Crowell show at the Majestic with a friend, and he said, "We ought to have a bar that promotes this kind of music." And I said, "Well, are you serious about opening a bar?" And he said, "Think about it." And he owned a bookstore. And I said, "That'd be great, because I tried to buy a bar back in the 80s, and I couldn't do it, so I'm kind of trying to get out of real estate." So we spent over a year looking, and I quit real estate, and I looked in the suburbs, I looked all over, and then finally I heard that the Lager House might be for sale, and I came in and talked to Kevin Leakley about it. And we started talking in March, and it was probably October we finally got the deal done. And we closed on October 23rd, so we got our official and final 10-year anniversary party coming up on the 28th of this month. Got a great lineup for that one. But we closed it on October 20th.
That's a big deal.
It is.
10 years is a big deal.
10 is a huge deal in the rock and roll. All the bars that I like, most of them didn't make 10 years. You know? So I'm pretty proud of that. Yeah, so we're doing that on the 28th. But like on the October 23rd 2007, I walked in here and I realized I didn't even know how to turn on the lights. I had called up the owner and said, "Where are the light switches?" He goes, "There's no light switches. Everything's on a pull chain." Everything.
What's a pull chain?
A pull chain on a light. It was like every light. He had never made switches for light. And there's so many things that I needed to do when I got the place. But anyways, but that's what got me into it, was the fact that I had sold a house to Jack White, and he, got to know him a little bit, and it was like, how could I not know this person even, so I felt I'd been away from music, because music has always been a real motivating factor in my life. I don't recommend it as a great way to start a bar.
It's all that matters to me, so I totally understand you.
Okay.
Like, we're on the same page.
Yeah, so it's like I want to see music, and I want to see, and then sometimes I think, geez, you should have just promoted a few shows. You didn't need to own the place. But I've been doing it for 10 years now. People say, well, are you tired of it? And I go, well, no, I'm not tired of it. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It still remains a lot of work, but I still like doing it. And for example, last night, we had Matt Woods playing here. Matt Woods of the, I can't remember the band name, but Matt Woods was playing here. And all of a sudden, Mary from the Detroit Cobras comes in and says, "Hey, everybody from Queens of Stone Age are coming over tonight."
Oh, nice.
And I said, "Really?" She said, "Yes." Sure enough, 10 minutes later, here comes all the band members from Queens of Stone Age walking in. I'm like, well, that's pretty cool.
Now, that's a really cool Tuesday night.
A Tuesday night, yeah. Tuesday night. And then the other thing that's happened recently is there's a new Netflix show called Mindhunter.
I was going to ask you about that, because that actually happened after I reaced out to you.
I have no idea where it came from. I got calls from Boston. I got calls from California. I got calls from all over the place. Did you see they name drop PJ? And they go, and I have no idea.
Supposedly the show's supposed to be from the 70s, so it wouldn't have actually been PJ's
Lager
House.
They took our whole thing. They took the part where we were a furniture store.
Oh, wow. So it's like a big storyline.
Yeah, they got it from the furniture store to PJ's, that's 2007, to bands that played there back in the 70s. So they took all our history and just compressed it into a couple of lines. But it was just amazing to see.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was, because this was a furniture store from 17 to 35. And then
Furniture store.
Furniture store. It was just to see yourself name drop like that. You go, who was here that saw us that decided, I'm going to put this in here? I mean,
that's really cool.
And so there was a Bob Seger video that we were in one time too, and I was like, called Deuce and a Quarter.
That's amazing.
And they said the lager tells it. The only other thing is, way back before I owned it, Jay Leno did a terrible movie where he's like a bad Detroit cop.
Jay Leno's a terrible person.
I
hate Jay Leno.
He's a bad Detroit cop,
me.
and he gets pulled over right in front. He's racing with these two guys, and he gets pulled over in front of the lager house. He tells the other guys, "Go ahead, get out of here. I'm a Detroit cop." And so then he goes and talks, "What are you doing pulling me over? I'm just having some fun." And it's right in front of the log house. So those are our three.
That's your 3 claims to fame.
3 claims to fame on the World Wide Web.
But the point where you buy this bar, let's say Detroit was not a flourishing the way it is now, they say.
It wasn't, but as a real estate agent, I kind of felt like...
You just believed?
I believed, yeah. I mean, when we moved back to Detroit in 95, and my wife didn't want, the woman I met, who was now my wife, she didn't want to move to Ann Arbor, and I didn't want to move to Grosse Pointe. And she said, "You ever seen Detroit? I would consider Detroit." I said, "Yes." She said, "Have you ever seen Indian Village?" And I said, "No, I'm a West Sider, never got over there." And we went through Indian Village. We looked for months and months and months, and finally we found the 3rd worst house in Indian Village. And I said, "I'm not interested. The place is such a wreck." She's 10 seconds behind us and goes, "I love this house." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" But 22 years later, it's still there. It's a beautiful house, and it's great. The 22 years that I've been in Detroit, even in the real estate business, I thought things getting better. I thought they were going to get a lot better with the Archer administration. It kind of went and came. Then I thought it was going to get better with Kilpatrick, and then Duggan, the bankruptcy, all that stuff. I began to wonder, and then Gilbert came in, and other people started coming in. And all of a sudden, it's like, wow. And then, but what really kind of made me see that things were happening. About 8 years ago, I was doing, after we opened the kitchen after the smoking ban came in. Because once the smoking ban came in, I said, I can't just serve booze, I got to have some food. So I opened the kitchen, and I was doing what are now called pop-up dinners. At the time, I had no idea. I was just cooking dinner on Sunday, and I would just cook a special dinner on Sunday. So one Sunday, 4 women came in, 10:30, said, "Hey, can we still get dinner?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So I made them some of my New Orleans specialties, which are not on the menu now, but might make it someday. Anyways, and so afterwards, after dinner, they're out back having a smoke on the patio. And I went out back and said, "Where are you guys from?" And they go, "Well, we're from Toronto." And I said, "So are you here for a convention or event or something?" And they go, "Oh no, we're here on vacation." And I said, "Okay, let me get this straight. You left Toronto, one of the most cosmopolitan cities in North America, to come to Detroit for a vacation? Yeah, we think it's really cool. There's a lot of neat things in this town. We've been to the Heidelberg Project, went to the DIA, and they started naming off all the stuff they did." And I'm going, "Well, that's kind of cool." And ever since then, I have seen that continually. We have a lot of tourists that come through PJ's for whatever reason. I don't know why they necessarily find it, but they do.
I mean, your prime location, you're
Well,
in
yeah, oh, yeah,
Corktown.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
it's a good location to get to anywhere, but how they find us specifically, like, is interesting, because like for about 2 months ago or so, this couple came in, they were from Norway, and they said, "Hi, you have your gumbo today?" And we said, "Yeah, we got the gumbo today." He goes, "Well, our neighbors were here about a year ago, and they told us if we go to America, we have to go to Detroit, and if we go to Detroit, we have to go to PJ's to try the gumbo." And I'm like, holy smokes, that's pretty amazing. That small world concept gets really huge pretty quickly.
well, the internet does that.
Yeah,
That is one plus of the internet.
Yeah, exactly. And
You guys actually offer a pretty good menu. That's something I've always been impressed by, because you have a lot of vegetarian stuff, which is a big deal.
And you asked me that question, and the thing is, I have to give credit to my staff, because when we were first putting the menu together, I had gumbo, I had the po' boys, of course, we're going to have a hamburger, maybe some, burritos, and the staff just said, "You have to have vegetarian." And I'm like, "Well, okay, why?" Just because a lot of people are eating vegetarian, you're going to be ahead of the curve if you do that, and you just should do it. And besides that, at that time, probably half my staff was vegetarian.
They were just being selfish.
Yeah, and I said, "Okay, fine." And the thing is, it has made a huge difference. I mean, people who will find us on Hungry Cow will stick their head in the door and go, "Do you serve food? Do you serve vegetarian food?" "Uh-huh." "Okay." And they come in and they have the food, and then they go, "I'm going to go write something about this. This was awesome. I can't believe it." And the thing is,
Well, it's hard to find that good bar food and have this kind of atmosphere and still get vegetarian.
if you're out with 6 people, guaranteed someone's going to be vegetarian in that group, just about.
Yeah.
It just seems that way today. And so if you want to go someplace, okay, we're going to a vegetarian restaurant. Oh God, I have to go to vegetarian. I don't want to go vegetarian. And then on the other hand, it's vegetarian going, "Oh, okay, I guess I'm eating French fries."
Right.
Now they can come here, and one guy can have the corned beef sandwich, and the other person can have a banh mi salad, and they're both going to be happy.
Right.
But I give tremendous credit to my staff in steering me that way, because it wasn't like, "Well, we have to have a great bar menu that's also got vegetarian stuff." Never would have occurred to me. Things like the brunch that we do on Saturday and Sunday. My cook back then was the one that came up with the vegan biscuits and gravy. We sell it all the time. It's just like, it's just, to me, it's kind of, I'm a little surprised, I have to admit. But the fact was that I've always tried to tell my staff, you get an idea, I'm new at this. I never ran a bar before. I never ran a restaurant before. I know nothing about any of this stuff. So if you have suggestions, the way I look at it, my philosophy as far as it goes, if it's not good enough that I would serve it at my house, I don't want to serve it here.
This is your house, though. This is
but,
your bar.
It's my house, my longer house. But I mean, if the hamburger that I serve here, I'd serve at home. The burritos I make here, I would make at home. I don't have any problem with that. I truly believe that if I could make something that would make my wife and I happy at home, then we can serve it here. If I make something here that I wouldn't want to serve at home, I don't think I will need it on the menu here either.
Well, it's not going to bring anybody in the door.
No, it's got to be. And we start really fresh with everything. Everything pretty much is either local. Being an old man, I'm a little cynical when people start putting in their menu, "Oh, this comes from here, and this comes from here, and this comes from here." I'm going, my stuff comes from Eastern Market, and it comes from, down the street. I buy my bolillos in Southwest at Prince Valley. I go to the Eastern Market, Dagajani's meat, to buy my meat there. It's like, to me, it was not.
So it's locally sourced.
Yeah,
you just don't tag it.
I just don't, play it up. It's like, is it simply good? That's where you start with food. If it's simply good, nothing else really matters.
Totally
it really doesn't. But and I don't need to make it.
So what's the best part about owning a bar?
Oh, I just kind of For me, it's when you're in that. For me, musically, because that's what motivates me. When you're in that room upstairs and the band's right and the crowd's right, there is no better place to see a concert.
Totally.
I personally love Bruce Springsteen. I will go see Bruce Springsteen and drop a hat. I'm not one of those guys who's seen him 100 times, but I love it. But the thing is if someone said, yeah, but what about that night when the OCs played up there and the place was just jammed? I'd say, ooh, that's a great Bruce Springsteen concert. Are the OCs here? Sorry, Bruce, I think you lose. You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of I feel. Because that room, when everything's right, when Melvin Davis is playing there and the place is crowded, and he's just got the crowd in the palm of his hand. Joanna Connor is a slide guitar blues player from Chicago, like in her mid-50s, and she looks like anyone's mom. She does not look like a rock star at all. And she came and she sat out front for the first time she played here, and she said, so I'm figuring you want me to play 2 sets and take a break and all that. I said, Joanna, everybody here is here for you. You want to play 90 minutes, you want to play 2 hours, you just go ahead and play whatever you want to play. They are your crowd. All these people that are here tonight are sure to see you. And she looks at me and goes, you are not the regular bar owner, are you?
Right, usually it's like, come on, I need them to get some drinks.
I need them to take a break. I want you to be off for 45 minutes, keep them hanging around. And she was like, holy smoke, you are a different character. And that's the thing, is that for me, it's the various nights of music individually. Overall, it's a whole thing of knowing a lot of people. I've always felt the bars that I like the best, the owners tended to be around a bit
Heck yeah.
and say hi and how you doing and what's going on, and you kind of get to know your customers and your people just a little bit. You're not. I tell people I'm not going to chase you around on Facebook. Don't worry. That's not. I don't have the time to do it. I'll let other people do that. But when people come in and they say hi, PJ, that's a nice thing, and I often make a point of if I see someone that obviously looked to me like it's their first time, and I'll go over there just to talk to them for a minute and say, thank you for coming in. It's great that you're here. I hope we can make you happy, and then we go from there. And I think that's part of it's the social nature of things. I do like the social nature of things.
Well, I think that's why I think PJ's has stayed really authentic, and it's the one rock and roll real bar in Detroit that has actually stayed that way.
Okay.
I mean, it's always been that way to me, at least. And like you said, I've seen James Link's one of my favorite artists, and one of my most memorable shows was up here dancing, sound system on, room full, really hot but not too hot. Just one of those perfect nights.
He's in Los Angeles now?
Yeah. Don't even get me started. Everybody thinks they can move to LA now, and that's cool. They forgot that Detroit is the place.
The place.
So what's the worst part about owning a bar?
Oh, the bills.
Wow.
The bills. That is just like, okay. In Detroit area, as you know as well as anybody, the months of August and September, you can't turn around without running to free music someplace.
Yeah.
There is so many free events.
Yeah.
Outdoor events, indoor events, just
There's
everywhere.
too many big events lately.
Everywhere you
There
go.
was something called Bacon in Ferndale last week. It made me angry.
There are so many things going on that, August, which you'd think, well, it should be a busy month. No. First of all, August in Detroit, you can sit in your back porch with a glass of lemonade and have a good time. You don't need to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But there's so much free stuff that you have to get through. I really have to get through those 2 months. If I can get through those 2 months, by the time I hit October, it becomes, people are willing to go indoors and see shows again and stuff like that. During July and August, August and September, it's really tough. So I say the bills, but it's like specifically, very specific ones.
Little laws.
It's like if you go from doing this much to doing this much, all of a sudden your bills would stay right here. So that's the ongoing thing. And the thing is, one of the toughest things as a business owner to do is to step away from the things you like. Like I used to bartend and I used to cook. Now I barely ever bartend. In fact, a bartender called in sick on Monday and couldn't get a replacement, so I ended up bartending Monday night. I'm out of bartender shape. I am way out of bartender shape. If any of my bartenders or managers had walked in during my shift, they would have said, "What are you doing? The bar is a mess. The glasses all over the place, food all over the place." And it's like, I'm just trying to stay up, man. I'm not in bartender shape. I'm sorry. But I used to bartend a lot, and I used to cook fairly regularly. And now I really don't. I will, like the gumbo, I will take new cooks, and I'll show them how to make it, and I'll work with them 2 or 3 times. And occasionally I'll jump behind the bar, but most of my bartenders, I say, get out of the bar. And so having to step away from the various jobs that you like, it makes it difficult because the jobs you're left with are the ones down here in the basement, dealing with the paper and dealing with the bills and just making sure that the payroll is there every single week.
Right.
That's really the kind
The
of
business part of the
yeah,
business owner is not as fun.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to be there and to be serving people and just go if you can keep it simple enough. But if you really want to make a go of it, if you want to make it a place that people want to go, then you're going to have people do jobs for you, and you're going to have to kind of step away and try to supervise. It's something I had to learn because I've always been self-employed, but as a real estate agent, as a record store owner, there's only 3 of us involved there. It was never a big operation. All of a sudden here, I got 15 people working for me, and that's a whole new trip. I mean, it's something that I'd never really experienced before, and so and not having people always assume that your family's been in the bar business. No, restaurant business. No, you work in a restaurant. About 8 months, 30 years ago. That's about it. But I really wanted to have a music venue, and I think music, in one way or another, I've always been working with music since I was about 8th grade, and so I can hack out a few chords on guitar and I can hack out a few chords on piano, but I am not a player. But I've always enjoyed the slightly off the wall position
You're
of
a
all
fan.
musicians.
You're a fan, though.
Yeah, I am a fan.
And I think a lot of people don't like to say that. Like, I always consider myself as a fan. I think it's cool to be a fan of something.
I'm a fan of music, and people often say, "Well, what kind of music do you really like?" And I go, "Well, I like roots music of any kind. It's just gotta be solid there." But me, it's like if there was a band here last week, Red Stone Souls.
Yeah.
You know them? Okay. I was not aware of them. And the first 2 bands were pretty good too. But I was like, okay, this is going to be heavy rock. But I got talking to one of the guys in Red Stone Soul. Erica, maybe? I don't know. Anyways,
They're going to be so excited that you mentioned him. I can't wait to tell them this.
So I got talking, well, I got to stay and see at least a couple songs, see how they go on. I ended up staying the whole set.
That's
because
awesome.
as much as it was a heavy rock set, which is not necessarily my first choice, I thought these guys are damn good at what
Right.
they're doing. And I love the set. And afterwards I stayed around, talked to them for a while, said, look, we got to get you back here again because that was really good and we need to get more people to know about you because you're playing music that other people are playing too, but you're playing at a slightly higher level, and that's what Detroit always does. Detroit's musical community usually squeezes out what comes to the top. Like right now, one of my bartenders, Craig Brown, was Craig Brown Band. I mean, the guy was playing with the Terrible Twos. Tremendous band, a little bit, quirky punk band is what it was.
Yeah.
And to have him now doing quote unquote country music is such a whoa,
And people love it.
how did this happen? But, he's out playing opening for Dwight Yoakam. So, I mean,
God, my dad loves Dwight Yoakam.
all the power to him.
I grew up listening to Dwight Yoakam.
First time I heard Dwight Yoakam, I was blown away. That Guitars and Cadillacs record. I heard that and said, "Who is this guy? Where did he come from?" And to now have Craig Brown playing with him, it's like that's pretty
so cool.
And there's also that's one of the neat things about you asked about people grow out of here. Like Whitey Morgan, he played here for a number of times before he finally just got too big to play here. And I understand that, and I tell every musician, hey, I hope all of you grow too big to play out of here because there'll be someone who'll come on behind you. But I also think in Detroit itself, if you grew up here and if you were listening to the radio and listening to the music that was out there, you have a deeper appreciation for so many kinds of music that other places don't. You go, I'll give for example, I went out to Massachusetts recently, I'm not going to name any name. A friend of mine who has played here, has got a great band that plays here, he has a funk band. And I went out to see his funk band out in Massachusetts. And I went away walking out, and I said, you need to come to Detroit for about a month and just hang out, absorb, and feel. I will take you to places, you will see bands, and when you go back to Boston, you will be better able to play this music. Your rock and roll, he's fine with rock and roll, but the funk end, I said, you didn't grow up with this music, and you think that you understand and feel it, but when you heard the music like every day, every place you went, they were playing Funkadelic, they were playing Motown, they were playing, garage. I think Detroiters I think first of all we're spoiled rotten. We have so many opportunities to see so much music that we think, I'll just go next week. But
So we always say that. We say the biggest problem in Detroit is not, is there something to do? It's which thing are we going to do?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
there's literally, like a Tuesday night, Queens of the Stone Age is
Yeah.
here because there's always something going on.
yeah. And they're playing the Fillmore and sell the place out.
I know.
And then they say, oh, let's go to PJ's for a while after. It's like, that's something that I don't know if that happens every place else.
No, it doesn't.
I just don't think it does. But I do think that the people who spent time in this city and have absorbed the music over the years in the city, they have an appreciation when they go here see a cover band in some other city and they're doing Motown songs. You're going, come on, give me a break, you really can't do this. Gary Quackenbush of the Scott Richard Case Band told me years ago. He said, growing up, we all wanted to be Motown, but we really quickly learned we weren't going to be Dennis Coffey, we weren't going to be Jamie Jamerson, we weren't going to be Marvin Gaye. We couldn't do that. We couldn't play or sing like that. So that's why we did the rock and roll that we did, because we couldn't be Motown, but God damn it, we still want to play rock and roll. And he says that's what we did. And I think that's really kind of the history of Detroit. I mean, I can't go back any earlier than my first real musical experience, probably in the 60s, probably in the early 60s.
Do you remember your first concert?
Well, high schools, Catholic high schools in Detroit, there used to be a whole bunch of Catholic high schools, and we all had sock hops.
Yeah.
And every school had one like once a month or twice a quarter or something like that. And I cannot say what the first sock hop I went to. The first sock hop Frigid Pink played at our place, Savage Grace played at our place, SRC played at our place.
Why did this always happen back then?
The Frost played at our place. I love the Frost. Rock and roll music was one of my favorite songs of all time. Anyways, but the one that really affected me is I walked in the gym one night and there's a black man sitting on the stage with his little band and he's all in black and a hat and he's sitting and he's stomping. And I go, who the fuck is this? And it turned out it was John Lee Hooker.
Wow.
And they had hired John Lee Hooker to come in and play a sock hop at my gym.
Whoa.
And I am going, I have no idea what this music is. It's really interesting. I have no idea where it came from. Now the first big concert, so I went to school in Ann Arbor. When I went to U of M, it was the Rockets, Dr. John, and the Allman Brothers. First concert of the Allman Brothers after the bass player Barry Oakley had died, and it was $5 general admission. That's the first big concert.
That's
I went
amazing.
to. That's the first big concert I went to, and that I remember. As far as which sock hop was first, I have no idea.
That's really cool though. John Lee Hooker, wow.
Yeah, John Lee Hooker was just it was, and I got to see him maybe 2 more times in his career, but that first time was just like,
That defined your life.
what's going on up there? What is this? And my friends are all like, I don't know, I have no idea. And I finally found a senior. I said, who is this guy? And he goes, well, that's John Lee Hooker. And I go, yeah, what's that? He goes, you don't know the blues? So I'm going, no, not really. He goes, check the blues out. Then check out John Lee Hooker. And I'm like, well, it wasn't easy to do back then. We didn't have an internet. We didn't have a Wikipedia to go to, So it took a while to figure it all out. But eventually, I realized I had gotten a really tremendous opportunity as a young man. It was just, it was just kind of like mind-blowing, mind-altering in its own way. And I knew that as soon as and even in 8th grade, I remember I helped manage a band in 8th grade, and we were hiring a new singer. And one guy came in, and his name was Tim Clancy, I still remember this day, and he knew all the words to Bob Seger's 2 + 2 is on my mind, so he got hired as a singer for the band.
Yeah, that was his gig then.
You know the words? You're
Right.
playing,
Well, that's how it used to be in high school, too.
Well, it's because the gigs were, they play 4 songs, you go up, you play 4 songs, and you'd be out of there, so if you knew all the words to one brand new song, it was like, okay, you're in the band, I think, so that goes all the way back. That's my first concert experience.
So I guess just to kind of close things out and move it forward, where do you see this place in 5 years? Do you still own this place?
Good ass question. I have no idea at this point in time. There's part of me that says, you're getting, I'm 63, I'm not getting any younger. And when I bought the place originally, I knew I wanted to get out of real estate. I'd had it up to here with real estate despite, and I also saw the market was going to go to heck, which it did a year later. But I bought the place because I figured I needed a job for 10 to 15 years so my wife finished out her career at the Detroit News. Well, her career at the Detroit News is done. My career is not done here yet. I kind of got this funny feeling. I'm not really sure. I mean, if someone walked through the door tomorrow and said, "Here's $1.5 million, get the fuck out of here," I probably would say, "Okay, I'm out of here. I'm not. I can't be bought." Yes, I can't be bought. But barring that, I kind of see this. I do feel in Detroit right now that the rising tide is beginning to lift all boats. And if Detroit doesn't do something to shoot itself in the foot and continues on the path, I see all these new apartments. If there's new apartments, that means that new people are moving. Corktown has been full ever since I got here. 10 years ago, it was full. It's still full now. They're finally building new apartments. If we have 1,200 new people moving in the neighborhood, that's got to help out everybody.
Yeah.
And as we see, and I see these apartments going up all over the place and condominiums, I'm thinking, well, geez, if maybe we are in a long-term gradual rising that we're going to keep on going and going, in which case PJ's might get easy to run because those bills would be a lot easier to pay.
You're not behind the bar or cooking.
And I'm behind the bar and cooking, and I can pay my bills. I could really be sociable then.
I love that.
So I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years. I just kind of been going with the flow, and so far my health is good, my wife's health is good, so it's not like we're going to be forced out by something like that, at least as far as we know. Knock on wood, but I like what I'm doing still, and our reputation keeps spreading. More and more people know about us when people are trying to get in here, and so I could be still doing this 5 years from now. 10 years from now, I will be 73, and I don't think I can see myself still doing this at 73.
See, the problem is then you'll be 73 and you'll be like, no, the cutoff's 83. Wait a minute, the cutoff is, because I can already tell you have passion, and when you have passion for something, it's hard to not have passion for it.
I like to sail, and my friends of mine said,
Oh, nice.
said, "You ever going to get by a sailboat?" Because I have friends with boats. Best way to go.
You're supposed to have friends with boats, not
Yeah,
own a boat. That's how it's supposed to work.
exactly. So I said, "You ever going to buy a boat?" And I said, "Buy a boat? I got a boat. It's anchored right here in Michigan Avenue. I pour money into it. I get a lot of pleasure out of it, and sometimes I gotta take a little loss now and then." And so, so I said, if I ever get rid of this boat, then maybe I'll buy another boat.
That's awesome. That's a good goal to have. I can concur with that. Well, thank you, PJ, for talking to us.
Thank you.
We cover a lot of the shows here. There's great stuff happening all the time. How does somebody reach out if they want to book their band here?
Loggerhouse Bookings with an S on the end at gmail.com.
Okay, awesome. We'll put that in the post. But this is just one of our all-time favorite places. You guys have to come here for brunch. Brunch is ideal. The gumbo, obviously. But thank you for telling us your story.
Oh, you're welcome.
It was really nice to chat with you.
You can see why I couldn't have answered your question. I would have been writing all night.
I love it.
So this is much easier.
Well, thank you. And when you guys come in, say hi to PJ.
Thank you.
Keep it hip.